Guys, Rob1 here, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video, and in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video we are going to be talking about the controversial topic of floodgates, and essentially if they're good for the game, if they're bad for the game, my personal thoughts and opinion on it, because I thought, seeing as I've been playing against floodgates a lot recently, and I've been playing with Altergeist, I've been messing around with decks that use floodgates, I've been playing against decks that use floodgates, I would throw my hat into the ring on this opinion, or if floodgates are good for the game or not, because personally I wanted to talk about this. Floodgates are a big topic in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! They have a lot of controversy around them, they have a lot of bad opinions, good opinions, and I just wanted to throw my hat into the ring, discussing what I personally think of floodgates and all of that, because like floodgates have been around for a very long time, and they've been bad, they've been good, but what are my personal thoughts on them? So, without further ado, let's get into the video where I personally discuss my thoughts on floodgates, because, you know, floodgates are such a big topic in the game. But yeah, let's get into this video. So, what's my personal thoughts and opinions of floodgates? Well, let's look at floodgates as a whole. What are floodgates used to do? Well, floodgates are there to stop the opposing player from being able to do plays that could extend their game states, extend their combos, and extend any form of advantage in the game. That is the generic play of a floodgate. What floodgates could do this, for instance? Well, we've got Rivalry of the Warlords. It will stop multiple type decks such as Pendulums, Trickstar, Sky Striker from going into their different combos to their monster combos to essentially advance their game state and go into a further state of game. How does it do this, you wonder? Well, against Sky Striker, you chain it to the drones, and then they can't summon a Kagari, or they can't summon a Shizuku, and they're stuck with a monster in their main monster zone. Against Pendulum Magicians, you flip Rivalry on the Electromite. They're unable to play through that if they don't have something like a Purple Poison to pop, or anything like that. And against something like Trickstar, they're not able to go into their other Link monsters that they value so highly to be able to beat over your monsters with bigger monsters, such as maybe the Mech Knights, Link monsters, or being able to flip Goat to be able to summon multiple beast tokens to go into a big Link monster. So that's essentially what Rivalry would do to stop your opponent. And what would something like Gozen Match do? Essentially the same thing, but for types. And Anti-Spell Fragrance, another one, essentially stops your opponent for an entire turn from playing spells until the end of that turn. So these are the most used floodgates in the game currently. Anti-Spell, Rivalry, and Gozen Match. They are the most used floodgates in the game currently, and let's be honest, these floodgates are here to stay, and they will be here for a very long time, but are they good for the game? Well, looking at it from a standpoint where the game is in a place where it's there's a lot of degenerate decks such as Trickstar, Sky Striker, Goki, Magicians are somewhat unbalanced as well at this point in time, in my personal opinion. I play the deck and I can even agree that. And looking at these decks, these floodgates do a lot to stop these decks. They slow the decks down, they stop them from being able to play the games at some point, and it essentially puts it in a fair state of game where you can beat Goki, you can beat Pendulum Magicians, you can beat Trickstar Sky Striker, you can beat Sky Striker. That's what these cards do. And looking at floodgates from that standpoint, they're very fair for the game, because they're able to stop your opponent from going as mental as they possibly want. It stops them from being able to be just absolutely insane combos, and it allows you to actually play around these bullcrap boards such as a Vortex, Dawn Dragstar, Decode, and Jackal King, which is a board I commonly make in Magicians, and just be able to, sure, if they negate everything, then that's the problem, but that's a big problem. But if you can get around the negates and be able to flip the Rivalry or the Gozen, then you're able to get to a point where they have to send majority of these negates to the graveyard and deal with it through that. Or against Goki, where if you flip Rivalry or Gozen, they have to send almost every monster to the graveyard, which is a nightmare because they're not able to control multiple different types or attributes. So like stuff like that is fair in that instance, and even anti-spell, for instance, that card is fair because it slows down something like Sky Strikers that just has infinite advantage from activating a card like Sky Striker Engage, and it just essentially gives you the ability to get around these sort of plays that your opponent has and lets you to play through these. Like, that's what the floodgates are good for, but they are really good in that opinion, and they're able to stop these sort of bullcrap plays from going through. They're able to stop all the rubbish ideas from going through, and all the stuff that essentially stops you from playing a game stops them from playing the game because they're trying to stop you from playing the game. So it's kind of good in that retrospect, where a floodgate is able to essentially deal with your opponent's board. It's able to deal with what your opponent has, and it allows you to play around everything your opponent could have. That's the good points about having this. About having a card like Gozen Match, or a card like Rivalry, or like Anti-Spell in the game. It slows your opponent down, it stops them from being able to do all the bullcrap that they could normally do, and it essentially gives you that chance to essentially come back, win the game, and get over them in general. But floodgates also cause problems in another sense as well, where sure, the points that I just made are good points to the card, but there's also the points that it can also make the game a lot more slower. It can make the game a lot more upsetting. It can make it a little more degenerate. It can make it feel like it's why I just lost to this floodgate. I didn't lose because I was playing a deck. Like, I personally felt that a lot while playing Magicians. If my opponent flips Anti-Spell on me, it's just like, well, I lost to Anti-Spell. What am I personally doing? But it's stuff like that. And like, floodgates can inherently cause people to not want to play the game as well, because it stops them from being able to play their decks. It stops them from being able to use combos that they came up with themselves. Like, even in a fun deck, like, for instance, Dark Magicians, if you flip the floodgate, there can only be one, then you can't control other spellcaster monsters to essentially be able to play the game. And sure, you only need Dark Magician, but if you summon a Magician's Rod, then you're not able to summon your Dark Magician to essentially go through your plays, go quicker further in the game. So a floodgate like there can be one is a card that would stop something like that from being able to play, or a card like Skill Drain that stops all effects in the game, so you're not able to use any of your monster effects, you're not able to use any effects on the board, essentially, like such as something like Deneb, which is, I admit, a archetype like Tellarknights would play floodgates as well, but you've got to look at it from that perspective as well. Floodgates do cause degeneracy in the game as well, where it's a point where, sure, they're a necessary evil, but it's stopping me from playing the game. It's stopping me enjoying myself. It's stopping me having fun. Like, that's the problem with floodgates in general. They do a lot. They do a lot in the game. Like, honestly, they win games, they win matches, they win so much, but when you're looking at it from the standpoint of, are they fair for the game? Are they good for the game? That's what this video is about. That's what this video is I'm trying to talk about in this video. Like, they are good for the game. Like, I'm not going to lie, they are good for the game, but they can also be very bad for the game at times, because it stops people from enjoying themselves. It stops people from having fun. It stops people from just full on going in and enjoying some crazy combo they made up. And that's one of the things, and that's the thing that I wanted to talk about in this video the most. Are floodgates fair for the game? Are they good for the game? Are they unfair? Are they just completely bullcrap, and are they not worth playing? Or are they worth playing, but should they be hit on the ban list? Something like that. And me personally, in my opinion, I feel floodgates, even though they have this degenerate streak where it can stop your opponent from wanting to play the game, it can stop them from playing the game in general, and it can even stop them from being able to win a match just because you flipped that one floodgate. I feel like they are good for the game. I'm not gonna lie, it feels terrible to have a floodgate flipped against you, but looking at it from the standpoint where it helps stop these degenerate decks like Goki, like Pendulums at times, like Sky Striker, Trickstar Sky Striker, all of these decks that use degenerate plays to be able to win the game, flipping a floodgate, it really is fair in that respect, because it's a necessary evil to be able to have these floodgates. It is a necessary evil to be able to use these floodgates, and it really is needed to be able to play the game nowadays, because decks that are slow, such as Alter guys, they utilize floodgates to be able to play the game and to be able to be used in the game. Because like if it wasn't for stuff like floodgates running around, then all we would be seeing is in the game is literally spell spam decks that literally just use as many spells as possible to go through all their stuff, and every deck would be like that. Like there would be no way to stop it. And we'd also see more decks like Goki coming arise that just extra link you without a problem and just do whatever they want. And like that's the thing with floodgates. They stop these degenerate decks coming around. They stop these problems, and that's the thing with floodgates. Why they're good for the game. Why they're a necessary evil. Like they aren't the best thing for the game in general, because they take away fun from the game. They take away enjoyability. But even still, these big decks out there, they're taking away from the game. They're taking away the playability, and that's why they are necessary evils. Like why floodgates in general are a necessary evil. But yeah, guys, that's just my personal thoughts on floodgates. Floodgates are something that need to be here. Sure, they're not fun, sure, they're not great, and sure, they're very annoying to play against, but they are needed because they help slower decks. They stop these bullcrap decks that are so fast that they can't be stopped half the time, and it just gives you a way to play on even footing, even ground, against these decks. But what are your personal thoughts on floodgates, guys? Do you think floodgates are bullcrap? Do you think they should be banned? Do you think floodgates should all be limited to one or just put on the forbidden list? Tell me all of that in the comment section below, because I want to hear your personal thoughts on floodgates, what you think. If you think they're bullcrap, if you think they shouldn't be in the game, tell me all of that in the comment section below, because I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. But yeah, guys, as I just said, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you want to see more videos like this, such as discussion videos or maybe deck profiles or anything like that, because I do all those kind of videos on a weekly basis, at least 3 videos a week. Don't forget to press the subscribe button to be subscribed for that future Yu-Gi-Oh content, and also don't forget to press the notification button as well to be notified of any future Yu-Gi-Oh videos or streams that I do that are normally at 8 PM UK time on a Thursday afternoon. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as I just said. And floodgates are necessary for the game, guys, no matter how much you hate it. But yeah, that's the video. Rawbat1 signing out. Floodgates, I love you, but I hate you. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. And check out the links in the description for the previous video and the link to my Facebook page where you can see previous videos that I've posted there and any other information that I may have posted there. I hope to see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.